Welcome to my channel SB Quotes. 40 of the best quotes about being courageous. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. If you have the courage to begin, you have the courage to succeed. You can choose courage, or you can choose comfort, but you cannot choose both. You can't be brave if you've only had wonderful things happen to you. Courage is the secret sauce that allows you to act despite your fears. Bravery is being the only one who knows you're afraid. Without courage, wisdom bears no fruit. A hero is no braver than an ordinary man, but he is brave 5 minutes longer. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. You will never do anything in this world without courage. It is the greatest quality of the mind next to honor. Courage is the commitment to begin without any guarantee of success. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. Fortune always favors the brave, and never helps a man who does not help himself. Courage, the ability to do something that frightens us, but is likely to be of benefit. I have not ceased being fearful, but I have ceased to let fear control me. I love the man that can smile in trouble, that can gather strength from distress, and grow brave by reflections. Where your fear is, there is your task. Being brave means knowing that when you fail, you don't fail forever. The scariest moment is always just before you start. After that, things can only get better. Courage is the only virtue you can't fake. Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything? There is nothing in the world so much admired as a man who knows how to bear unhappiness with courage. It takes courage to grow up and become who you really are. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Fight hard when you are down, die hard, determine at least to do, and you won't die at all. Never bend your head. Always hold it high. Look the world straight in the eye. The best way out is always through. He who is not courageous enough to take risks will accomplish nothing in life. Be brave. Take risks. Nothing can substitute experience. One isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. To a brave man, good and bad luck are like his left and right hand. He uses both. What is to give light must endure burning. It is courage, 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 that raises the blood of life to crimson splendor. Live bravely and present a brave front to adversity. You can choose to let this thing bother you or let this be an adventure and welcome the challenge. Courage is being scared to death, and saddling up anyway. A man with outward courage dares to die, a man with inner courage dares to live. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. 33 Courage Quotes to inspire you to live the life you were meant to live. Don't get discouraged, it is often the last key in the bunch that opens the lock. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. Courage isn't having the strength to go on, it is going on when you don't have strength. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint on the clouds of doubt, and you can never tell how close you are, it may be near when it seems afar. So, stick to the fight when you're hardest hit, it's when things go wrong that you mustn't quit. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. Nobody learns what he can do except by trying. I have lived my life according to this principle: if I'm afraid of it, then I must do it. Do the thing you fear and the death of fear is certain. If you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. If you cannot grow, you cannot be your best. If you cannot be your best, you cannot be happy. If you cannot be happy, what else is there? A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. Above all, be the heroine of your life, not the victim. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but just as much to stand up to our friends. I believe in getting into hot water, it keeps you clean. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. What separates the winners from the losers is how a person reacts to each new twist of fate. Of all forms of caution, caution in love is perhaps the most fatal to true happiness. Success means having the courage, the determination, and the will to become the person you believe you were meant to be. To overcome fear, here's all you have to do: realize the fear is there, and do the action you fear anyway. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more, so that we may fear less. The important thing is this: to be able at any moment to sacrifice what we are for what we could become. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will. The greatest test of courage on the earth is to bear defeat without losing heart. Hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and in the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. Obstacles are like wild animals. They are cowards, but they will bluff you if they can. If they see you are afraid of them, they are liable to spring upon you. But if you look them squarely in the eye, they will slink out of sight. Do you have the courage to act outwardly on what you see inwardly? If you're going through hell, keep on going. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. No captain can do very wrong if he places his ship alongside that of the enemy. Never forget that no military leader has ever become great without audacity. 57 motivational quotes to help you be more courageous in times of need. 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So, throw off the bowlines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore. Dream. Discover. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. The opposite for courage is not cowardice, it is conformity. Even a dead fish can go with the flow. How few there are who have courage enough to own their faults, or resolution enough to mend them. Courage is the hallmark of spirituality. Courage comes when you love yourself for who you are. To look at something as though we had never seen it before requires great courage. Mistakes are always forgivable, if one has the courage to admit them. The courage to imagine the otherwise is our greatest resource, adding color and suspense to all our life. God grant me the courage not to give up what I think is right even though I think it is hopeless. Courage is knowing what not to fear. We must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. It takes a lot of courage to release the familiar and seemingly secure, to embrace the new. But there is no real security in what is no longer meaningful. There is more security in the adventurous and exciting, for in movement there is life, and in change there is power. Courage means doing what's right no matter what they say. Either life entails courage, or it ceases to be life. There's only one requirement of any of us, and that is to be courageous. Because courage, as you might know, defines all other human behavior. Choose the great adventure of being brave and afraid. At the exact same time. Vulnerability is our most accurate measurement of courage. My definition of courage is never letting anyone define you. All you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination. To uncover your true potential, you must first find your own limits, and then you have to have the courage to blow past them. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. If you want to conquer fear, do not sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Courage is a love affair with the unknown. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Courage is found in unlikely places. Don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth. A team is where a boy can prove his courage on his own. A gang is where a coward goes to hide. Always do the things you fear the most. Courage is an acquired taste, like caviar. Start living in discomfort. Gradually increase it little by little, and you will steadily grow. If you want sudden growth, deluge yourself in great discomfort and do not retreat from it. The more discomfort you are willing to bear, the more you can grow. Courage is almost a contradiction in terms. It means a strong desire to live taking the form of readiness to die. Creativity requires the courage to let go of certainties. I beg you, take courage, the brave soul can mend even disaster. Courage is contagious. When a brave man takes a stand, the spines of others are often stiffened. People with courage and character always seem sinister to the rest. Have the courage to take your own thoughts seriously, for they will shape you. Will you dare to try and learn and grow? Or will you allow fear to take over? Life happens in the river, not on the shore. Courage is a heart word. The root of the word courage is cor, the Latin word for heart. In one of its earliest forms, the word courage meant to speak one's mind by telling all one's heart. True courage is not the brutal force of vulgar heroes, but the firm resolve of virtue and reason. You have to accept whatever comes, and the only important thing is that you meet it with courage and with the best that you have to give. Let me be myself, and then I am satisfied. I know that I'm a woman with inward strength and plenty of courage. It's better to cross the line and suffer the consequences than to just stare at the line for the rest of your life. America was not built on fear. America was built on courage, on imagination, and an unbeatable determination to do the job at hand. He who loses wealth loses much, he who loses a friend loses more, but he that loses his courage loses all. It is only necessary to have courage, for strength without self-confidence is useless. Don't be ashamed to need help. Like a soldier storming a wall, you have a mission to accomplish. And if you've been wounded and you need a comrade to pull you up, so what? Running away from the immediacy of our experience is like preferring death to life. I told myself, Malala, you have already faced death. This is your second life. Don't be afraid. If you are afraid, you can't move forward. Conscience is the root of all true courage. If a man would be brave, let him obey his conscience. Most of us have far more courage than we ever dreamed we possessed. With enough courage, you can do without a reputation. My courage and my bravery at a young age was the thing I was bullied for, a kind of, who do you think you are? faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage. It requires more courage to suffer than to die. Let us not pray to be sheltered from dangers but to be fearless when facing them. He who is brave is free. It takes guts and humility to admit mistakes. Admitting we're wrong is courage, not weakness. A lot of people do not muster the courage to live their dreams because they are afraid to die. 43 courageous quotes to help you face your deepest fears. Courage is not something that you already have that makes you brave when the tough times start. Courage is what you earn when you've been through the tough times and you discover they aren't so tough after all. Have the courage to act instead of react. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. A coward is incapable of exhibiting love, it is the prerogative of the brave. Everyone has talent. What's rare is the courage to follow it to the dark places where it leads. Courage conquers all things, it even gives strength to the body. Life is not about living the safer option. Life is about living a life worth living. Robert there. The only alternative to a shuddering paralysis is to leap into action regardless of the consequences. There are no easy answers, but there are simple answers. We must have the courage to do what we know is morally right. Many people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. Don't do it. Uncertainty is where new happens. It trades the reassuring comfort of certainty for a shifting, delicate, and fragile balancing act of propositions. Uncertainty is a license to explore. He is a man of courage who does not run away, but remains at his post and fights against the enemy. Have the courage to be who you are, not what people expect you to be. You need to have faith in yourself. Be brave and take risks. You don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Some people believe holding on and hanging in there are signs of great strength. However, there are times when it takes much more strength to know when to let go and then do it. Only when we are no longer afraid do we begin to live. It is only through labor and painful effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things. We ought to face our destiny with courage. The more you are motivated by love, the more fearless and freer your action will be. Courage is like love, it must have hope for nourishment. Real courage is knowing what faces you and knowing how to face it. The hard choices, what we most fear doing, asking, saying, these are very often exactly what we most need to do. If you have a dream, don't just sit there. Gather courage to believe that you can succeed and leave no stone unturned to make it a reality. Courage is on display every day, and only the courageous wring the most out of life. The principal act of courage is to endure and withstand dangers doggedly rather than to attack them. If you want to get an idea of a friend's temperament, ethics, and personal elegance, you need to look at him under the tests of severe circumstances, not under the regular rosy glow of daily life. Let go of your need for comfort and security. Creative endeavors are by their nature uncertain. In all realms of life, it takes courage to stretch your limits, express your power, and fulfill your potential. Courage is very important. Like a muscle, it is strengthened by use. Freedom is the sure possession of those alone who have the courage to defend it. Don't avoid something frightening if it stands in your way. Every man has his own courage, and is betrayed because he seeks in himself the courage of other persons. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. Courage is risking the known for the unknown, the familiar for the unfamiliar. Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid. Stand for something or you will fall for anything. Today's mighty oak is yesterday's nut that held its ground. It takes courage for a person to listen to his own goodness and act on it. He who jumps into the void owes no explanation to those who stand and watch. Courage consists not in hazarding without fear, but being resolutely minded in a just cause. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. It does not take courage to kill. It takes courage to live. Death is nothing, but to live defeated is to die every day. With courage you will dare to take risks, have the strength to be compassionate, and the wisdom to be humble. Courage is the foundation of integrity. Courage doesn't mean you don't get afraid. Courage means you don't let fear stop you. People are weak because when challenged, they opt for the path of least resistance. Taking the path of least resistance makes them weaker still and thus more likely to opt for the path of least resistance again in the future. It's a deadly cycle. Thanks so much for your watching. God bless you.